Good morning. Dandy Designs here. Today is a Friday, September 18th, 2020. A little bit about what I'm going to do today, or start today. It's a project that's just going to take time. I know I've talked about it in the past where I use my sawmill and I start cutting, some boards. You get into a tree and you just don't like the way the board's going to look, or maybe the sawmill, right, whatever, the board's just not good enough to put on the house, or in my opinion. So I stack them in a different spot. So for example, out here at the sawmill, I cut the boards, and if they're good enough, I usually have my trailer sitting right here. I put them from the sawmill to the trailer. And then what I've done is, if a board just didn't like it, I sat it right here. Just put it right here. And then come back at a later day, which I did yesterday, finished up yesterday. And I use those boards, if they're good enough, I put them on the trailer for a different project. These are 2x4s, or 2x. Some of them are 8s that I'm going to cut down to 4s, or just different. They're 2x. So I left those there because I don't need them right now. And then I burned all the scraps. There's this stuff that you can't use at all, and you're not going to use for firewood, because it's just not worth the effort, because it's just, well, you see like that piece right there that didn't burn up. It's like, what could you use that for? I mean, I guess you could cut it up, use it for kindling, which I have plenty of that. So anyway, clean this area up, put all that, sorry about the sun, all that 1x's on the trailer that I could use. And what am I going to use them for? I'm going to use them for the siding on the carport, which will be my barn. I started this, and I think I showed this in a previous video. If I didn't, let me show you again. I used some of these scraps and I left it rough cut, or a rough edge, which I don't know if I'm going to like it too much this way, so I'm going to kind of adapt and fix it. And I just was throwing these on there to prevent the rain and the mud from just running through the carport. And it did a good job. It built up, diverted the water and mud that way, and away from the inside. So I put those there. And see, there's the rough edge right there. I'm not sure I'm liking that too much. So what I'm going to do, well, you can see, and then it's just different levels too. So thought it would be okay, but it's going to end up being more gaps and stuff in the siding, which I'd have to fill in with, foam or something, which I will have to anyway eventually. But I don't want to do it right now. That's the point. So anyway, I'm going to start boarding this up, and I'm thinking, there's two sides here that I'm going to be working on first. I think I'm going to do this side first. Number one reason, that's basically north and west, basically north and west. Storms, snow and stuff will blow this way, and of course it'll blow in here a little bit. But coming from this direction, that way it'll prevent it from just filling that whole carport in with snow when the wind's blowing, and all that stuff. So I'm going to do this side first. So that's what I'm going to do today. I loaded up the trailers with what I had over there, and I'm just going to start cutting them. And what I'm going to do though is I'm actually going to size them with widths. They won't be perfect. It's still going to have some gaps, which is fine with me. But like this board here, maybe I'll cut it off there and cut it off there and just have that middle piece to throw away, or use this firewood and make these 1x6s, the certain length that'll fit over there. Maybe that's going to be a whole 1x6 or 1x8. So it just depends on the boards. But what I am going to do is rip them either 2-inch widths, 4-inch, 6-inch. So I'm going to make them all so I can butt them up against each other when I'm putting up the siding on the barn. So that's what I'm getting ready to get after. So I got to get everything ready, get my table saw. That's called a table saw or a ripping saw. But anyway, table saw uncovered, plugged in. My whatever kind of saw that's called, where you pull it down and cuts. There's so many things. Not a skill saw, but that radio arm one right there, it kind of decided it was done. It's really old, and I think I used it so much the motor's now so weak it won't keep going. But anyway, I'm gonna get all this hooked up, get ready to go, and be back with you with some of the video of putting the boards on that barn. All right, see you in a bit. Okay, the wind's blowing a little bit. I'll show you what I've done so far. Started on this end over here, and cut it. I'm coming to the edge here because I have a lot of wood to work with on this side when I start creating this side. So I brought it over to the edge, and I overlapped the boards on the bottom because they weren't even. So I cut the top part flat as I could anyway, straight as I could, and just made sure from that point that I tried to keep it level, putting those other boards on there straight across. Then I did that all the way down. Second row, same thing. Obviously this board here I'll have to cut off later. If you see it there, it's over that way too much. So anyway, the top board now comes up. As long as I have a top straight edge there, I can work off that. Now I'm probably, not definite, but probably going to start on this third row, stacking them on top of each other. That means I got to cut two straight edges, when I'm doing that. So I may go against that because it overlaps, and that looks more rough cut, and I'll only have to cut one straight edge. So after I get done with that, I'll decide. See, and here's the problem too. There's a bigger gap. You can see light. That one right there is going to be the biggest because of something that happened right there. But the rest of them should fit fairly tight. Where maybe if I want to seal it up, all I got to do is spray some spray foam in there and seal it up. But I don't necessarily have to do that because water hits and then runs down. It shouldn't go in unless it splashes in on the bottom. That's why I spray foam that. So maybe I'll just keep overlapping it like this. Because then I'll put insulation maybe in the walls from the inside. And maybe not. I haven't decided on that yet. But that'll be a decision after I get it all sealed in like this and build the wall on that side. So anyway, progress. I'm gonna keep working here for a little bit. I don't know that I'll get all those trailers, the 2 trailers, unloaded today and use all the boards on there. Haven't decided yet. We'll see once I get that far. But what I'm able to do is kind of keep it semi-level as I'm going and overlapping the bottom, and the top edges don't have to be perfectly straight. I'm cutting that top edge just so that it fits flush all the way across when I screw it into those boards that I strapped to the legs. And I'm not penetrating the legs with anything because I don't want to weaken it, like I've said. So